Hey folks, Damien with Southpaw Designs here, and today we're going to have another VCarve tutorial. This is part of what I call kind of this quick tip series. It's intended to be about 8 to 10 minutes at the most, and it shows you how to use some of the tools in VCarve to accomplish a very specific task. In this particular tutorial, we are going to create a simple little wine caddy. And in part two of this project, which will be a separate video that I post this weekend, I'm actually going to take this design down to my Onefinity and create the project. So you'll be able to see it from start to finish in two different videos. So if you're interested in the design aspect, this video is perfect for you. If you're interested in the actual build, cut, fabrication process, then the second video is also going to be of interest to you. Now remember, this is a series, so if you find any interest in this, please make sure to hit that subscribe button below, because that shows me that this type of material is what you'd like to see and encourages me to do more. So let's dig right in.
What we're going to do is we are going to create a simple wine caddy, but more importantly in this project is we're going to learn how to better use some of these tools. One of the things that I love about this YouTube channel is that I'll post out a tutorial and a video, and then somebody will say, hey, do you know there's a better way to do it? You can save some time, or you can do things more accurately by doing this. And so I'm going to take a couple of those things, a couple of comments that other people have made in the last videos, and show you some better ways to do things here. So what I have is I already have my job dimensions. I set this to be 12 inches by 5 inches, and I know I've got some 1 inch stock downstairs. I'm going to leave that at 3/4 of an inch. I think that's a good thickness for this little wine caddy that I'm making. So I'm going to click OK here. And so now what we're going to do is we are going to draw an ellipse. Okay. Now, the way that we're going to design this, it's important that you know the actual dimensions of your material. And sometimes I'll set my material large knowing that I'm just going to cut it down. But in this particular project, we want to know the dimensions. So for this project, I'm going to give it a width of 12 inches and a height length and width, whatever you want to call it. But it's going to be 12 by 5. When I think of height, I would generally think of thickness because it would be laying down, but you get what I'm saying there. So I know what I'm going to have, and I need to know that because I need to know what the middle points are. And so I'm going to create a 12 inch by 5 inch ellipse or oval, and it's going to be centered on the very center of my project. Now that's important for the tools that we're going to use. Now you could draw it out if you want to, but I've already got these keyed in here, so I'm just going to create that. And so it gives me an ellipse right there in the center. All right. Now in a previous video I showed you that we could actually drag out our guides, and then a very kind viewer said, hey, do you know there's a better way to do that? And so I learned a lot from that. So we don't have to put these guides out there, but I'm going to put those guides out just so we can see that there's the dead center. All right. So we have our ellipse, and this is going to be the general shape of our project. Now I'm going to draw a circle. I also want it to be in the center, and so I can just draw it out here. Now what size do you want it to be? I'm going to make it, I think I'm going to make it about 1.5 inches. So the radius is going to be 0.75 inches. I think that's a good size for the wine bottle that we're gonna put in there. So it's 1.5 inches across and up and down, which is 0.75 inches. So that's the radius. So apply that and close, and there we go. Now we need to do the same thing over here, because what we're going to have is we're going to have a couple of glasses that will hang off of it. And so I want to make sure that it's right here on this axis, or on that midpoint, that guide right there. So let me grab this, and I'm going to make that, yeah, I think 1/2 inch is fine there, and it's right there on the center. I need to do the same thing over here, but this is how we're going to learn to use that other tool. And so I'm going to leave that alone. Close this, and what's going to happen is you're going to be able to slide a glass in and hang it from there. So I need to have a line or a polygon. Now this is the one where I'm not exactly sure how wide it should be. I measured the thickness of the stem, and I think this will be fine. So I'm going to draw a point, and I'm going to connect it right there. Now notice how it wants to close that, but I'm not going to use that. So I'm going to hit escape. So now I've got a nice little ellipse there. Ellipse, good grief. I've got a nice little line there. Okay, now so here's where knowing these tools better comes in handy. In a previous video I showed you how to use the mirror selected objects tool. Well, there's actually even a better way to do that. If I want to put this line in the exact same position but on the bottom of the project, so right down here, I'm going to make sure it's selected. Go to the mirror selected objects tool, make sure that flip about job center is turned on, and instead of using the top, bottom, left, and right, because that will, like for example, bottom will create another one, but it flips it over. That's not really what I want, so I'm going to undo that. What I want to do is I do want to flip vertical, and what this is going to do is it's not only going to, oops, it's part of our morning breath club. I'm up this morning before my alarm went off, so I apologize for that. That was my alarm going off. So I'm going to flip vertical, and what that's going to do is that's going to take, since this is dead center, that's going to create another line and put it in the same position, but basically mirrored. So flip vertical, and there we go. So now I have a totally separate line right there on the bottom. So we have it perfectly aligned the way we want to. So I'm going to zoom in now, and now I want to get rid of some of this because I want to open this up. Let's see here. So I'm going to get rid of this little thing. Looks like I've got a little mark over there. Could just be something on my, yeah, that may be nothing. All right, so I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm also going to get rid of this. So now I have this nice little shape. And so that's where the glass is going to sit. That's where that wine glass is going to sit. So let me zoom back out, center back over here. And I want to do the same thing over here on the other side, but I don't want to have to recreate it. And I want to make sure that it's accurate. So I'm going to select this object here. And now go back to this mirror selected objects tool. Make sure flip about job center and create a mirrored copy is turned on, and now I'm going to flip horizontal. And since this is on this side and this is the dead center, it will create a copy on the mirrored side. So flip horizontal, and boom, there we go. So I made another project, a caddy, a catch-all tray last week, which I'll link below. And somebody said, hey, do you know there's a better way to do that? And it turns out there is a better way to do that, so I do appreciate that. Okay, so let's refine this a little bit and finish it up. I'm going to use that interactive trim tool to get rid of those pieces right there to actually open it up. Okay, and we could actually be done here, but what I would like to do is I'd kind of like to soften these edges a little bit. And so we have our fillet tool, and I had a viewer who said, hey, you're not creating fillets, you're creating radiuses, but everything that I've seen is called a fillet, so I'm going to continue calling them fillets. So please be advised, the proper nomenclature may be fillet, may be radius. You use whichever one you want. I'm going to call it a fillet because it says click on an angled corner to change corner into a circular fillet. So I'm going to create a circular fillet, and I'm only going to set it to 1/8 of an inch. So it's going to be a very subtle fillet. I'm going to do the same thing right here, and it just softens up these edges a little. I'm going to come to the other side and do the same thing. Boom, 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 and boom. All right. Close that and zoom back out, and now we're ready to go set our toolpaths. So let's go into the material setup. Now for the cutout, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch, and really that's the main thing that we have right here is we have a 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to select everything. Let's see, I don't know if it matters which one I select first, but I kind of want that to happen first. So I'm going to use a profile toolpath. The 1/4 inch is selected. Edit passes, it's set to 1/8 of an inch. I think that's, we can go faster than that. So I'm going to change it to 4 passes since we have a, what is it, 1 inch? Yeah, it's 1 inch. Wait a second, let me check something. I'm second guessing myself. What was my material thickness? 0.75 inches. Okay, yeah, so I'm glad I saw that. I think I've made that mistake before. So if my material thickness is 0.75 inches, why would I want to cut an inch deep? Unless I just wanted to cut into my spoil board, which I don't want to do. So now I'm going to edit those passes, make that, let's see, it is a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to be a little bit more subtle here. I'm going to go 4 passes. I think we'll be fine with that. And we should be good there. I want it to be on the outside. Okay. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I probably need to do these separately, and I'll show you why. Because if I have both of these selected and they're all going on the outside, it's going to cut on the outside of this one, but it's also going to cut on the outside of this one, which would make this hole much larger. So let's calculate that. Actually, I'm just going to select this one. So let's calculate that. And preview selected toolpath. And that looks like that's what I want. Okay, so now I'm going to create another profile, but I want this one to be on the inside, and I want it to be this one right here. I want it to be on the inside of that circle. So edit passes. I'm going to take that down to 4. I really don't think we need 6 passes for this. Do I want tabs? It's probably a good idea to put tabs in there since I am cutting that out. So I'm going to have a couple of tabs in there. Calculate that to add tabs, edit tabs. Oh, preview selected. Let me go back in there and I want to edit those tabs. Tabs, edit tabs right there. Avoid corners, constant number. Let's add those tabs. That should be fine. So what the tabs are going to do, in case you're new to this, is that's going to leave a little bit of material connecting those together, because my fear is that if I cut it all the way through, then that small piece of material could come loose from the spoil board, even if I tape it down, and that would cause it to go flying everywhere, put out an eye, kill a cat. So yeah, it could be rough. So let's go ahead and preview. And there we go. And you notice it's going to leave the tabs in there. And those tabs are very small, which I can easily just pop that loose and sand that and clean that up a little bit. So I am happy with that. I'm also going to round these edges, but I kind of like using a palm router for that. Just something I like to do. So I'm not going to program that in here. So let's go ahead and save that toolpath. Now we can actually save both of these since they're both 1/4 inch. So I'm going to select both of them, save all visible toolpaths to 1, and this is my wine caddy. And so I export that, save that toolpath, make sure to save this project. And I've been playing around with this a little bit, so you see different versions, but they're all pretty much the same thing. I'm just going to call that Wine Caddy 3, even though they're all pretty much the same thing. And we are done. So I hope you enjoyed this. Again, in a couple of days, I'm going to post the actual fabrication video where you'll see me create this very simple little gift idea for my wife. And yeah. So that'll come next. I appreciate you guys for watching. And again, please hit that subscribe button below. And thanks for watching.